What's going on, guys? Today we're doing a comparison video of two wired gaming headsets that, in the opinion of many, are arguably the two best current gaming headsets on the market. On the left we have the Sony INZONE H6 Air, and on the right we have the ASUS ROG Kithara, which is a headset that was done in collaboration with Hi-Fi Man, who have a pretty long-standing reputation due to their planar magnetic headphones, which are pretty well received. So the Kithara in particular is going more for the audiophile gamer type of demographic. But so is the Sony, because the INZONE H6 Air is actually using similar drivers to the ones found on the Sony MDR MV1, which is a studio headphone. I've actually checked it out before. I've also checked out the Hi-Fi Man Edition XS, which isn't necessarily the same as this headset, but I'll have both of those videos linked in the description below, so you can get kind of a background on Hi-Fi Man headphones and also the MDR MV1, which was definitely going for a distinct sound signature because it was very V-shaped for an open back. And we'll get into the sound quality later on in this review, but the Sony is definitely going for that type of sound signature. Meanwhile, the Kithara is going more for an audiophile inspired type of sound signature. Real quick, the pricing on these, as of right now, the Sony INZONE H6 Air is $200 and the Kithara is $248, both on Amazon, Best Buy, and some other retailers. Usually these are $300 and the Sonys do retail for $200. So right now there's only actually a less than $50 difference between the two. So they're kind of in the same price range. They're not too far off from each other, at least on the current sale that the Kithara is on. And Asus do typically discount their headsets. The ROG Delta 2 and the Pelta routinely go on sale, while Sony's headset, sometimes go on sale. So let's get started with build quality and comfort. These are definitely very different, completely different types of headphones, where the Sony is going for just a smaller form factor with way less weight. These weigh around 200 grams, I think exactly 200 grams or just underneath that. And yeah, you could definitely feel it. Meanwhile, the Kithara is weighing in at 420 grams, which is pretty normal for a planar magnetic headphone. I mean, the Odyssey Maxwell, which is a wireless planar magnetic headphone, closed back, is well over 500 grams, and most of Hi-Fi Man's headphones, at least the egg-shaped ones, are a similar weight. So the Kithara isn't really doing anything different in that regard in terms of shedding some weight as a planar magnetic headphone. But a lot of the weight does come from just a really solid build. Like, I've checked out the Hi-Fi Man Edition XS, and Hi-Fi Man has a bit of a bad reputation when it comes to build quality and quality control. But I'm not really getting that with these. The Kitharas feel very premium. Like, the material here on the grill feels very premium. This is metal over here. This hinge is metal over here. The headband feels okay. The fabric underneath is a pretty nice feeling material. The ear pads have like the ASUS ROG Delta leather kind of ribbing, and then it has like a nice sports fabric that feels very soft to the touch. You also get these velour ear pads with the Hi-Fi Man, with the ASUS, which are even softer than these. They feel softer, they're a little bit more comfortable, slightly more breathable, and I actually do prefer how this headphone sounds with the velour ear pads, and I do prefer them. But as I'll talk a little bit about in comfort, they do get a little bit itchy. But it's nice that ASUS includes two different sets of ear pads. It's a good build quality, and you definitely feel like you got what you pay for. The Sony is not necessarily the same in that regard. It's very lightweight, but I wouldn't necessarily say it feels cheap. Like, the ear cups over here are in aluminum, but it's so thin, so lightweight. And then everything else is basically plastic. Like, this part is plastic. I don't know what's underneath this fabric type of headband. Then you have the leatherette headband here, and the fabric on the bottom doesn't necessarily feel premium. The ear pads are nice in terms of breathability. They don't feel quite as nice as the INZONE H9 but they do the job very well. They are like a little bit of a rougher texture, but it feels good on the ears. and they're quite good for glasses as well. Both of these are actually really good for glasses. And yeah, the Sonys just feel a little bit cheaper than the ASUS do, but I really just wouldn't get very worried about the build quality. Like, I think it's a very well built and well designed headphone. And overall, as a chassis, I actually think the Sony might withstand the test of time better. Now, in terms of comfort, I think this is where the Sony pretty clearly wins. It's not only the weight, like, you don't feel the Kitharas as like these insanely heavy headphones. The suspension strap on top is doing a really good job of distributing the weight very evenly on your head. And I never really felt it like being super heavy like I do with a lot of other headphones that weigh even less than these. Like, I've tried the Beyerdynamic DT900 Pro X, and those like felt heavy. They felt like a tank on my head. I kind of felt the same way with the Astro A50s, headphones that are like in the 350 gram region or so. These really wear their weight very well, and I do find them comfortable, but I do find them just like a little bit bulky. You obviously feel that they're on your head just because they're huge. Like, these ear pads are absolutely massive, and there's just a lot of pieces, a lot of things going on. They never melt away on your head. You always kind of feel them on there, but it's not like overly heavy. I don't think it's all that bad, but if you're sensitive to very heavy headphones, you might struggle with these. Where I actually found these to be kind of uncomfortable, I don't know if it's uncomfortable, but I don't like either of the ear pads, to be completely honest with you. And I think the issue is that, I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but these are actually like kind of slanted. So on the front side, they're thinner than they are on the back side. And that's true of both of these ear pads. The velour ear pads are the same. And for some reason, I just couldn't get my ears in the right place. I don't know what it was. Even though, like, these are huge. This is absolutely massive in terms of verticality. And even the width is pretty good. Didn't really struggle with that. It was almost like, because it doesn't swivel all the way both ways, I think maybe that's contributing a little bit to some discomfort that I was feeling with the ear pads, where I just constantly was shifting around the ear pads and the headset in order to get the right position for my ears and on my head. So that's something I struggled with the Kithara. And even though the Sony INZONE H6 Air has much smaller ear pads, I actually just find that these work better for me overall. They really do feel so lightweight. You kind of forget that they're even on your head. I wish the ear pads were slightly bigger. I wish you had a little bit more room in here, but it's actually not too bad, and I have pretty big ears, and I got used to it, and I don't really have too much to complain about in terms of the ear pads. And they do a very good job of being breathable. They don't get very warm. And you have a really wide range of adjustments, which you also do on the Kithara, but I just find these more comfortable, and it's not particularly close. An area where the Kithara is better than the H6 Air is in terms of what they give you in the box. So both of these come with like this dongle DAC, but the dongle DAC that comes with the Kithara is just better. It's way more powerful. It does a better job of getting you more volume. And this is a planar magnetic headphone, so they're usually like pretty tough to drive, but I was able to listen to music almost near max using these with my iPhone, but I was getting enough juice with just this. And on the iPhone, this was fine with the Sony. Like, I was almost maxed out, but this is just more powerful. And especially if you're gonna be using these for, I've tried it on the PS5 Pro, and the INZONE dongle DAC is just so quiet on the front USB-C port of the PS5 Pro. Meanwhile, I was getting enough power with the ASUS dongle on the PS5 Pro. So it's just a better dongle DAC. And because it's quite powerful, I actually don't think, let me retract that. I would get a separate DAC amp for these, because planar magnetic headphones just play better with more power. I personally have been running them with my Fozzy Audio K7, and that's what I've been using to test both of these. And because you can do bass and treble adjustments, especially for the bass, because the bass is so linear on planar magnetic headphones, this Fozzy Audio K7 is kind of perfect, kind of a perfect pairing with the Kithara, because you could just turn up the bass knob and it basically puts a bass shelf. And if you go about 3, 4, 5 on the Fozzy Audio K7, it's perfect. So in terms of cables, I don't particularly like, I don't hate either of them, but I don't love either of them. What I like about the Kithara is that you get this swappable end. I've got the balanced connection here because the Fozzy Audio K7 allows you balanced, but you also get a 3.5 millimeter, and it just clips onto this connection, which is pretty damn cool and very versatile. You also get another cable with the mic for the Kithara. You don't need a separate cable for the Sonys. Plus you get the ear pads on the Kithara, so you just get more stuff with the Kithara, and I think it helps you feel like it's a more premium experience, like you're really getting what you pay for.
This is a mic test of the ASUS ROG Kithara, plugged in through the USB-C dongle provided in the box. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Is it better than the Sony? Does it sound good? Leave a comment down below. This is a mic test of the Sony INZONE H6 Air wired gaming headset, plugged in through the USB-C DAC provided in the box. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it amazing?
Let's do it. Let's get into sound quality. And I honestly don't think this is going to be that long of a section, because if we're doing just a one-to-one comparison, in my opinion, the Kithara just sounds better for everything, especially with these velour pads. If you're going to be listening to music, like it's no contest in my opinion. Planar magnetic headphones just sound so freaking clear. It's incredible. Plus you're getting an incredible soundstage, which HiFiMan is kind of known for with their egg-shaped headphones, and the Kithara is no exception. Like, these sound really wide. You're getting such great instrument separation. If you turn up the bass hits so hard. Out of the box, it's like a very controlled, very detailed, punchy bass, but everything else just sounds so spacious within a mix. Everything is so clear. Vocals sound like perfect. Like, in my opinion, they sound perfect. But that's just in my opinion. Like, other people feel that planar magnetics have a little bit of a metallic timbre. I don't find that. I find them to be incredible for music. And I don't hate the Sonys for music, but unfortunately, as they say, comparison is the thief of joy, and I think that's very true here. Because if I go a day without using the Kithara and I'm just using the Sonys, I don't feel like I'm missing anything if I'm listening to music. And it's an enjoyable experience because it's very V-shaped. You're getting a surprising amount of bass for an open back. The mids are slightly recessed and near the upper mids, but voices still sound very natural. But the treble can be a little bit too much at times. It can cause sibilance, and it just kind of gives music like an interesting spin to where it's definitely more excited, but at the same time you're kind of trading some of the clarity and some of like the naturalness that you really get from the Kithara. As for gaming, I'm kind of gonna repeat the same thing. I just feel like the Kithara sounds better for everything. Like, for FPS games, I was playing Battlefield 6, and the default sound signature on the Kithara kind of feels tailor-made for FPS, because you're kind of getting like a 3D sound stage with these, where you can really pick up where footsteps are and where specific audio cues are coming from, but not just around you. You can feel it, you can hear it in the distance, and that's what this does so well. And the Sonys are not bad for FPS. Like, I actually think they're kind of great because the imaging is really good, and footsteps are kind of emphasized because it has a lot of emphasis in the mid bass, which is where I believe a lot of footstep audio cues come from. And I could really hear the footsteps in Battlefield 6, but it just felt a little bit more closed in. The soundstage isn't nearly as wide as the Kithara. So for FPS, I would go with Kithara. You just kind of feel, you also feel a little bit more immersed with the Kithara, because it feels like, it literally feels like you're on the battlefield, because everything sounds so clear, so clear. And another thing with the H6 Air, because to my ears, it just is brighter and there's more treble energy. Playing Battlefield 6, gunshots were like a little bit too spicy at times and a little bit too much. And if you're gonna do long gaming sessions, especially playing a game like Battlefield 6, I think that could get a little bit tiresome. But a lot of people find the Kithara very sibilant. I don't. I was not getting that. So I just kind of want to come out and say that with both of these ear pads, the velours or just the hybrid leatherette ear pads, I really wasn't getting too much sibilance unless it was like, I think it was like maybe one or two specific singers, vocalists, that their voices did have a little bit too much sibilance on these, but in terms of gaming, I never really experienced that. I also played a good amount of single player story games. I've been playing Pragmata recently. I got back into The Last of Us Part 2. For Pragmata, I actually really liked the Sonys. Everything sounded a little bit more punchy, and you kind of felt a little bit more immersed in a game like Pragmata, because there's actually so much going on that, because the Kithara is using a planar magnetic headphone where you basically hear every single detail, it was almost like it was too much in Pragmata. And I was missing a little bit of the like emotional weight that I was getting a little bit more on the H6 Air. But like I said, you could EQ these to put a lot more bass in, and then you'll get some of it back, but you're still not gonna get the type of impactful low end that you get with the H6 Air. So that was Pragmata, but then if you go into like an open world game, both of these are very good. Like I love both of these. Like I think they both sound really good. Easily better than most wireless headsets that I've tried. In fact, probably all of them. But the ability of the Kithara to just stage so wide and give you like a 3D type of space around you is really special, and it works very well for open world games where you just hear all of the details of their environment around you. But like I said, the Sonys are no slouch, and if you're not doing a one-to-one comparison, I think you're going to be quite happy with the Sonys. They have a lot of punch in the low end. The bass is really impactful, and if you're coming from a wireless gaming headset that has a lot of bass, I think the Sonys would probably actually suit you better, because it would be a more natural transition than just going to something like the Kithara, which is centered more around details and clarity in a spacious soundstage. So if I were to choose one to keep, I actually don't know. I actually don't know, because I do think the Kithara sounds better for just about everything. But the Sonys are so freaking comfortable that they're just much easier to live with. Plus they sound more than good enough to get by, especially if you're only going to be doing gaming. If music really isn't even in your itinerary and you won't be listening to that much music, if you're more like 70-30 gaming or above, I mean, I think you're good to go with the H6 Air, because they're so freaking comfortable, and they can be very immersive just because the bass is fantastic, and it's a more excited V-shaped type sound signature. But if you're going to be doing a lot of music listening as well, I think I would recommend the Kithara, but only if you can try it out and see that the weight isn't too much for you, and whether you have any type of comfort issues with the ear pads, because I really just did not find the ear pads very comfortable. I don't know why. They just don't seem to fit my ears very well, but that could just be a me problem, and it likely is. But that's going to do it for me. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have checked out either of these. I did do a standalone review on the H6 Air, so you can go check that out. But let me know if you have a preference between either of these, and if you want me to check out any other gaming headsets or wired headphones or wireless headphones, let me know. I'd be more than happy to check them out, get them reviewed, so I can get you an opinion on something you think you might like, or you just want me to justify your purchase. So I'll see you guys in the next one.